loss. It is the most important part of your evolution. And why is that? Because suffering brings enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? Well, here's you. And here you are as unconditional love. But your brain has been programmed by many, many patterns of your family, of your lineage, of your society, of what happiness is. Like it's somewhere outside of you, right? And so you operate from this set of beliefs and programs to get that love outside of you, the recognition, the validation, the love, the perfect checklist of what success really is. Yeah? But success is actually happiness and having peace within yourself and love within yourself and the freedom of that great freedom. And what does that come from? Not from here. Because here, the mind can be manipulated to think that love is somewhere outside of you. But really, it's right here. And we became disconnected from that, right? Because we were told our feelings don't matter, don't listen to those. Listen to the fear-based control and the societal structure and the limiting beliefs of the lower consciousness we were born into. We weren't born into a consciousness of emotional intelligence, okay? This is an evolution, and this is the time that we're in. We're evolving beyond the programming of our lineage, of the conditionings which we were born in. What is this? What is love? That's important to know. Love is unconditional. And what is ego? Conditions. So we work so hard to be able to find that love and happiness outside of ourselves. Like heaven is something that you work for and towards, and that you can force and control, and you're really in control of everything. No. The true freedom is knowing that you're actually not in control of life. God is, or the great creator, life itself, and it is actually teaching you. So when you start listening to life and listening to your feelings, which is your navigation system, then you become aligned with who you really are, which is much bigger than that. This is limitation. This is all greed, selfishness, and not in a good way, in separating yourself from actual love that exists all around you. This self-centeredness is actually very healthy and very important. And we're taught not to be self-centered in how we feel and what we think, but we are taught to do as I say and do this and do that and go to college and have this job and work until retirement, and then you'll be happy. And then you die. And you never get there. You never are fulfilled. You're like a hungry little badger that isn't eating enough, like you don't realize that the earth is plentiful of all sorts of opportunities and resources, because this cuts you off from that. Abundance comes in so many ways, and it always is in a form of cracking you open, not what you need, not what you want, what you need. Life gives you what you need in order to grow. And that, and no one talks about this, is loss and pain. What are we losing? We're losing this identity. What is this identity? The one that thought doing this occupation would put me ahead in life, make me higher up on the food chain, but by the way, it's not making me happy. In fact, I'm seeing how this isn't serving me. And that is it's like the ego telling you that you're having some kind of success when no one actually gives a shit. Like literally everybody is just experiencing themselves. So when we are operating from a place of trying to have this reputation, have this status, rah, you know, that has nothing to do with who you really are. Who you really are is a snowflake. You're unique, you're different, you're unlike anybody else, and you're not here to fit in. And so you were conditioned to fit in and to live a certain way, and that would bring you happiness. And then you tried this thing and you tried that thing, and it didn't work. And you ended up kind of living the patterns, if you become conscious, of your own family programming, your own conditioning. So this can be manipulated. This by control, by fear, and conditioning. In order to have that love, you have to be a certain way. You have to do the certain things. Like it is outside of yourself when it's right here. And so what is this connection? That is the Christ connection. That is your clear channel of all the infinite energy that gives you life. So you're not sitting there trying to get energy from outside substances anymore. It comes within you. And as you keep going into your heart center and honoring your feminine and your feelings, you start unlocking the truth within you, which could be completely different than the reality you were living. You start becoming aware of how you weren't actually living in love and how you were trying to assimilate the experience of it. How you were trying to control situations rather than just being love and allowing love to reign in your life. And why do we get separated from that? Because of all the pain that this disconnection causes us. That is pain. And no one talks about this. You have to go through the pain in order to get to this higher consciousness. You have to literally sort through your feelings and honor your heart through all your fears, judgments, limiting beliefs, and everything that kept you separate from the love within you. We were taught that God's just a man, a fear-based dude in the sky that judges us. But as you go through the process of enlightenment and feeling your feelings and knowing thyself, because knowing thyself is the point of life and it is enlightenment. That's what it is. The Matrix, Neo. Knowing thyself, seeing through your illusion. This is the only thing that is right. The mind can be manipulated. So if you are unhappy, it's because this guy has been running the show. This dude, your masculine awareness that we were all raised in. That is the pyramid. Masculine, right? Mark is going out, but you get what I'm saying. So that is the hierarchy, patriarchy that we were raised in. But what's happening is the second ray is coming to light. That's the Holy Grail. That's the divine feminine. And she is love. So what we have is awareness. That's awareness in your mind. This is awareness. You're aware. But when you're aware of love within you, the divine feminine, your feelings, your emotions, your senses, that is when you start awakening to your true self. And you realize that you are living an illusion. You realize that a lot of that stuff you were living wasn't even true. It was not love. It was not love, and all anyone ever wants is love. Divine feminine. The Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, Holy Trinity is not man, man, and child. Man, man, and man. It is masculine, feminine, and holy child. This is Christos. Feminine is Sophia. Masculine is Theos. What is Theos? Theos is God, literally awareness. It is awareness. Sophia, that's love. And love creates wisdom. When you can look at your life and love yourself and see what causes you pain and understand that that pain is based on your mind not listening to your heart. And that's not necessarily your fault, right? You were programmed and conditioned to think that way through your television, through your religion, through your school, through your family. You weren't taught emotional intelligence, because if we were these sovereign, free human beings, the world would not exist in the structure that it exists in, of fear, separation, control, and war. We would be harmonious with ourselves and therefore each other. World peace isn't something you can shout into existence. It is a revolution inside all of us, and it involves honoring the divine feminine and being one with your heart. This is literally prophecy. And we're in the evolution of consciousness where the feminine is rising, and that's why things feel so intense. That is why the illusion's getting so loud, where you're like, what the heck? You're looking at the world and seeing all of the illusion. And you're like, what is going on? But the thing is you have to bring it back into yourself and process your own self-love and emotions, because you can't make a change from feeling disempowered and in fear. That's the whole catch. The world will try to put you in fear and control. You have to see through it. You have to find the empowerment and love in yourself to take bold actions, have the courage to say what you really feel and think, and to love yourself through it, and to make change, different decisions, to choose love. We have the choice of choosing love, which is our own Christos consciousness, which is literally wisdom. And wisdom is Sophia. It is the awareness of Theos, awareness of self. And that is the great freedom. And when you experience the great freedom, you're no longer a slave to fear and your mind. You are obedient and in servitude to your heart, which is feminine. Love, feelings, the Holy Mother, the Goddess. And so we're in a time where that feminine power is raising our consciousness. And what happens? And why is this process so painful? It's like when we're becoming aware that we actually weren't living in love, and that's not who we are, and we were not, that basically all pain is just not love. That's all it is. So we're born, into the 3D. And this is us. And this is conditioning. Separation. Duality, contrast, all the things. And this is the 4D. And this is the 5D, which is inner union. This is divine union, you know what I'm saying. Divine, literally union with your emotional body, your heart, and your mind. But the 4D is literally layers of your consciousness that you have to sift and sort through of not love. And we call this judgment, judgments, negative judgments based on your experiences. Now, you can have negative experiences, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're based in any kind of truth. So, pain is the illusion of not love and separation. And in order to, when we have this great awakening into the fourth dimension, which the whole world is moving into, that is the exciting astrological moment in history that has been prophesized from ancient cultures around the world. It's an exciting time to be alive, but it's also an intense time, right? So this barrier is the Pandora's box, I like to call it, of all your fear, emotion, pain, suffering that makes you have to go up into your true self, your divine self. And that's the one that's living from the heart. That is the Christ consciousness. This is the realm of unconditional love. And that starts within you. That is an internal job. This is all yin, baby. So this whole 4D we're going through, we can go through all of these false illusions, doubt, limiting belief, and everything that separates us from our God self, from our Christ self, from our true self. But that is the journey of life. Life is like a school, and there's all these layers of consciousness that you get to go through by processing your emotions. And that's your actual power. So if you are punishing your emotions, if you are denying your emotions, then you are staying stuck. That's the stuckness. So the only way up, the only way out is through, right? And this goes through honoring your emotions. And this is where the feminine really comes through. It is all your emotions being able to decipher what resonates with you and what doesn't. And what resonates with you feels good and right. It feels alive. And if you don't feel alive, and if you feel in pain, and if you cannot sleep at night, and if you are being tortured, if you feel existential suffering, and you really have no idea why, this is why. This is why. Because what keeps us from this is shame, anger, rage, hatred, all of the regret. And it really is like Ready Player One. You have to go back and look at all of the sources of your pain, nurture your pain, and go back to your 13-year-old self or your 5-year-old self that was neglected or not listened to or abused, and you have to love yourself back into wholeness. Now you become the parent unto yourself, the loving parent, the holy mother to yourself and father. You are your own mother and father now. But you can bring that energy from all of life by attuning to it as much as you can. Now, every breakdown you have on this journey is a breakthrough. Higher awareness, higher awareness, higher awareness, higher awareness. So this first awakening, pain, and everything feels really fucked up, and it feels like you open Pandora's box and everything is lost and everything is illusion and suffering, and that's what kind of brings you through this awakening, whether you like it or not. And you should be happy that you had that awakening, because now you get to be your greater self. If you go on this hero's journey, where you learn the truth of who you are, and this is the crowned king. It's when you become the ruler of your own life, of your own heart, of your own self, and you are in service. You're in service to love when you get up here. You're in service to helping people because you have gotten through this, which is compassion. The way through is compassion, forgiveness, understanding, love, choosing love over and over and over and over and over until you reclaim and remember all the parts of yourself that actually is who you are, which is that kind, compassionate, loving person that has the ability to freely express themselves, and they don't live in fear of judgment, and they don't shrink back, and they don't hide. They love who they are, because the only person who has the power to truly give you love is yourself, and your connection to your heart, which is actually your life force energy, which is the great creator and creation itself. So you get in tune to that frequency, and that's when you're authentic self. You are your authentic self when you love yourself, and loving yourself is the great freedom. So yes, this last wall into the 5D is Last Judgment. It's where you go through all of your judgments and you stand before God, which is you, which is your heart, with nothing, with no illusion, with no baggage, with no regret, with no hatred, because you understand your life. You understand that the people who hurt you were actually great teachers. You understand that, and you are grateful for the lessons, because life is meant to be a game of expansion, of conscious evolution. And if you're not evolving, then you're stuck. And this is how we get stuck. This is creatorship. Being able to create and be who you are, whether that's a singer or a pilot or a teacher of this stuff or a potter, whatever your creatorship is, and whatever actually brings positivity to the world, because in your creatorship, you operate from love for love. And in your ego, you're not serving fucking anyone. So you better go up that judgment ladder. And it truly is a ladder. Every single limiting belief and fear you have to move through and keep choosing love and keep choosing love all the way up. And it's messy. No one talks about this. There's all these theories and blah, 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 and mind dopamine hit candy of like, oh, just love and light. And it's true. This is love and light. And it is allow love and light in. But you also have to confront all of your bullshit, because your patterns and trauma and separation from who you really are is creating patterns throughout your life. And these patterns can only be broken by one person, and it's you. When you become this, you are the sorceress, the sorcerer, the mage, the magician in the tarot, right? All of these sources and stories and religions lead to the same source, the one peace, the one love. God, heaven, hell, all of that shit. The only thing that they did was separate it, but it's really inside of us. We are the Ouroboros. We are literally only experiencing ourselves. And this life was created and perfectly designed for you and your conscious evolution. So you can start by being grateful that there is this greater you that exists. Your dreams are you. They're not separate. It is you. It's that fearless, loving version of you who knows who they are and therefore knows what they really want. And I can tell you, it's not having an occupation that hurts people. And I can tell you, it's being more present with your life and sorting through all of your stuff so that you can be open and available to life, which, by the way, isn't about gathering things. It's about flowing like a fish in the currency in the stream of life. A fish. This is a currency of love. And you are like flowing in it when you are in your true, authentic expression that isn't blocked by fear. Fear is the block. Judgment is the block. So, we sort through all of this in order to become our true divine creator self. Isn't that fun? So there is no such thing as loss. It is just chapters of learning in the school of life. You must learn an experience, have that relationship, have that job, have that experience not work out in order for you to realize who you are. That wasn't you. That isn't really you. That isn't you being in your most loving, powerful, divine self. And then you get to discover who you really are by going through all of your limiting beliefs, fears, and judgments. Welcome to the evolution. Yay! I'm so happy that you're here because on this side, it's heaven on earth. It's how you feel inside yourself. There is no separation from the love inside you anymore. There is no disease, there is no disorder, there is no nothing. There is just pure, divine genius that flows through you, your true consciousness and the wisdom that you have attained from life that you can share. And that is the new paradigm. That's what heaven on earth is. It's like you get to share your wisdom, I get to share mine, and we get to co-create together and just be happy together. There is no competition. There is no comparison because you are a perfect design. Your life has been perfectly designed for you. And you don't have to be anything other than you. In fact, you need to be you and who you really are. And who you really are is a gift and a blessing to this earth. And when you know that, then that is when you are the change you wish to see. You know that you have purpose. And your purpose is to love your life, to live, to expand, to grow, to know who you are, to know God, to know love, to experience it. And life is not over. One chapter starts another one. It is the never-ending story of consciousness. So if you feel like you lost everything, you didn't. A chapter just ended, part of your ego died, and you're feeling the loss of your identity because that wasn't even your identity. There's more to you than that. There's more to learn, there's more to expand in, and there's more to consciously evolve in. So we can get stuck here in denial. Excuse me. Whew! We can get stuck. When we're denying our feelings, that's how we get stuck. And when we're making things outside of ourselves matter, before ourselves, you have to make yourself and how you feel matter. That is the most important thing. You cannot control other people. There is free will, and we all have the power of choice. That's what we were given as creators in this world. So are you choosing love, or are you choosing fear and separation? That is the power that you have. The course has been set for you. It has been divinely designed. And when you start waking up to that and learning and taking in all that experience, you start to see the beauty and magnificent and the perfect design of your life. And then you fill with gratitude. And then you see life much differently. Thank your teachers.